Serbia consider Nikola Tesla as one of theirs, so much so that they've included him on the 100 dinar note. But he's actually born in Croatia, which is just next door. But as many of my viewers will know from watching the news over the last few decades, there's been a lot of upheaval here in Serbia, and it shows. So behind me here is the Liberty Bridge, so one of the main crossings of the Danube here, and there's another couple more up the road there. And those bridges were bombed by NATO in 1999 to kind of bring, I guess, Serbia to heel over some ethnic cleansing and many other issues, which, look, I'm no expert. But anyway, these bridges were bombed, but being important crossings of the Danube, they were repaired and are being used again. But just up on the hill up there is a transmission tower, TV transmission tower called the Iriški Venac, I believe. And that was also bombed, but they have left it pretty much as is. There is, quite a lot of damage to it, but it still stands tall, and I think it still transmits some signals. But yeah, both these bridges and that tower are a sign of the troubles that Serbia has been through. And I guess with those, they haven't really had time to consider things like renewable energy and EV adoption. However, there are buds, there are signs of these things, and they do have quite a fair mix of hydro in their electricity, up to sort of like 20%. But the vast majority of the electricity is from coal, ignite coal. It's about 60-odd%. Yeah, so there's a lot of emissions coming from that. And actually talking about emissions, I feel like I've gone back to the 80s here when it was common for people to be smoking indoors, both in workplaces and in restaurants. And here in Serbia, it's very much the case, if you go to a restaurant, that people will be smoking indoors. So, they've got some work to do on emissions from people, and then I guess they'll work on the cars. So there are a lot of sort of European-make cars on the road here, lots of Skodas and whatever. And I think with the EU mandate, I think that Serbia will come to the party in terms of EV adoption. Right now they're at about 1%. So you do see a handful on the roads. I think there's a population of about 9 million people. Yeah, so there's not that many on the road, and the charging infrastructure is still fairly small. And interestingly, just like in Austria, all the charging that I've paid for so far has been by the minute. So it doesn't matter how quickly or slowly you draw power from the grid, they just charge you per minute. And it's pretty expensive. I've seen rates up to like €1.20 per minute for some fast charging. There is one little bright spot here in terms of with free charging, which is Lidl. So for those of you in Australia, we don't have Lidl, but it's kind of like Aldi. It's also a German company. But I was looking on Reddit the other day, and apparently Lidl has a charging network that rivals many European countries, including Ireland and Luxembourg. So they have more charging locations at their supermarkets than those countries, the total networks on those countries, which is kind of amazing. The charging that I saw here at Lidl was actually free. You did have to pay for the parking after 90 minutes. But yeah, for a shop, half an hour shop, it's nice to be able to top up with some slowish DC charging. Yeah, so the incentives in terms of getting EVs on the road, I think there was one. It might have been like a €5,000 discount, but that I think has since stopped. I think that maybe they ran out of funds for that. So there's really no incentive that I'm aware of to buy an EV in Serbia at the moment. Though I think there are some discounts for the registration, like the annual registration fees. But yeah, so there's, I guess, not that much incentive. But I think, they do need to work through some other issues obviously, before they can really get into EVs. So yeah, so the take up here is slow, and that shows as well on the charging side. There's enough chargers, I guess, if you want to travel through and get around. So we're not having any issues at all with charging. But yeah, there is not nearly as many that you do see, say, we were in Austria recently. So they've got some work to do there. So in terms of like driving on the road here, there are motorway tolls, but they're more your standard, get a ticket at the first booth if you have to lean over again in your right-hand drive car, and then at the end when you exit, pay either with cash or with credit card. So in terms of the future of EVs in Serbia, I think they have a way forward. Interestingly, on some positive notes, they have a Fiat factory here in southern Serbia, where they make the Fiat Grande Panda. So both an EV, I think the Grande is the EV version. They also have a petrol version. But yeah, so that is made in Serbia and being sold across Europe, and I think some other continents as well, like Africa and maybe South America. I'm not sure if it's coming to Australia. The Grande Panda has an interesting feature. I think it's the first production car that has a built-in AC cable and connector. So you open the little flap at the front near the Fiat logo, and you can pull on this sort of flexible extension cable, and just pull it out of the car. And apparently it's like 4 meters long. So for those of you that don't want to carry around a Type 2 cable, you can just pull the cable out of your car. So it's a kind of useful storage option. The other sort of positive signs here in terms of just how people get around. Lots of people on bikes. They really have good bike infrastructure here in Novi Sad, where I am right now. Segregated bike paths, actually separate from on the road, so actually kind of shared with pedestrians, but side by side, so they are segregated. And lots of people on bikes getting around. So that's a good thing to see. I think my first choice for types of transport would be a bike and then an EV. So that's good to see. In terms of EV adoption, a lot of people in sort of the bigger towns like here in Novi Sad live in apartment blocks, these Soviet style, I guess, blocks. The good news with them is, obviously apartments are not great for EV adoption because you've got to retrofit charging, get permission from building owners and the like. Here in Novi Sad, and I presume in other towns in Serbia, maybe the Balkans, they have sort of big parking areas surrounding the blocks, so they're off-street. So I think those will be ideal for setting up AC charging. So I think there's definitely, even though a lot of people live in apartments, I think there's hope there for people to use off-street AC charging. All right, well, I think on that note, we will call it quits here in Serbia, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.